The Tragedy of Cinema podcast is intended as a family-friendly program that by extension strives to be inclusive to all people regardless of their ethnicity, gender, creed, or any other identifying factors in this incredibly diverse world of ours. With that said, some of the films we discuss may contain serious subject matters or have content considered morally objectionable by today's standards. We do not intend to condone or dismiss these aspects of these films, but our primary focus will be on what we believe the film succeeds at, some fun facts, and our personal enjoyment factors of each film. With that said, we hope you enjoy the show.
光を当ててはいけません。ますます起こるばかりです。
100万年前に生息した開きの大怪獣ゴジラ。水爆実験はついに太平洋に眠る大怪獣の怒りをかけた。放射能を発し白熱の海溝を吐きながらゴジラは東京へ上陸した。
僕は反対です。尾形君、私は気まぐれに言ってるんではないよ。あのゴジラは世界中の学者が誰一人として見ていない日本だけに現れた貴重な研究知らず。
しかし先生、だからといってあの凶暴な怪物をあのままほっとくわけにはいきません。
君までがゴジラを抹殺しようというのか。
バカな、素人のあなた一人を海の中に放り込みますか。
俺が死なない限りどんなことで再び使用する立場に追い込まれないと誰が断言できる。
もしもそれが恐ろしい目的に使用されたとしたら。
青年科学者芹沢が秘めた恐るべき発明とは。
長年の研究の成功を何ということなさるんです。話せ。
近代兵器を装備し続々と出動する陸海空の精鋭。ゴジラの恐怖から脱出する難民の群れ。
ただでさえうるさい国際問題が一体どうなるか。尾形君、頼むよ。はい。
制作費1億、6ヶ月の苦闘が生んだ世紀の巨変ゴジラ。映画技術の粋を集め大東宝が全能力を上げた空前のスペクタクルゴジラ。本年最大の話題作ゴジラ。
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Jimbo.
And I'm your co-host, Kyle.
Kyle, today we'll be talking about one of the all-time great science fiction movie, the original from 1954, Godzilla.
A seminal classic, Jimbo.
Seminal, yes, very, very awesome. But Kyle, before we get started, I do have a question.
All right, Jimbo.
Godzilla.
Oh, just ask the question.
Who do you think is your favorite Godzilla arch nemesis?
Oh, Gigan, easily. Giant evil robot chicken with a buzzsaw in his chest. I think he looks absurd, ridiculous, and I love him. Like no cinches. He's an alien. He looks like a chicken. He's adorable. He's got hook hands. What's not to love? He's
okay,
absurd.
who's his worst villain?
Who's his worst villain? Gosh, I don't really have a worse villain up top. The ones I don't even know the names of. The giant arachnid was kind of boring.
I thought it was kind of Mothra was kind of ridiculous too.
Mothra isn't a villain though. Eventually, he's just a good guy. At some point, Mothra never made sense as a villain. Eventually, they made their own Mothra movies. It's like, Mothra's cool. Actually, what are we talking about? We love Mothra. Yeah. How about you, Jimbo? Who's your favorite Godzilla villain?
I don't know. I think I was always liked the Mecha Godzilla. I always thought he was pretty cool to see him fight.
They are awesome. I feel like they've never done it quite right yet.
No.
Like I want to see the jetpacks and him slapping them around and doing crazy stuff. They need crazy action with Mechagodzilla.
So, yes, Godzilla, the original, it's subtitled in Japanese. Well, with a movie like this, Kyle and I are going to struggle with pronunciations.
Yeah.
So, we are sorry in advance for any names that we slaughter.
The butchering to
distastefully. We're not doing it on purpose. It's just... I'm not Japanese and I'm not fluent in the Japanese language. I really don't even know much Japanese words to begin with.
Me and Jimbo barely speak English. I mean,
we speak the King's English around here, Kyle. Exactly. So, Kyle, let's go ahead and take this away and see how good we do.
All right, so here we go. Godzilla, released on May 7th,
2000, yeah.
2004. That's the DVD re-release, folks. May 7th, 2004 is DVD release date. The real release date for the film was November 3rd, 1954. Wow, got off to a great start already. Follows the story of a American nuclear weapons testing resulting in the creation of a seemingly unstoppable dinosaur-like beast, better known as Godzilla. Directed by Ishiro Honda, written by Takeo Murata and Ishiro Honda and Shigeru Kayama and Tomoyuki Tanaka for inspiration for the story of the giant monster from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Produced by Tomoyuki Tanaka, composer by Akira Ifukube, and cinematographer was Masawi Tamiya.
Yeah, it's going to be a long episode. I was going to make Kyle do everybody on the cast, but I was like, I'm not going to be that mean.
I'm going to go through a pretty fair amount of the cast, actually. So, but I'm going to try and keep it short and simple as I can. Budget for the film was $175,000. In today's with inflation, that'd be about $2 million today. Opening weekend, it made just $38.1 thousand. Adjusted for inflation, it'd be about $442,000 today. And gross worldwide, it made about $562,000, worth about $6.5 million today. So more than made its money back on that front, and good for them on that. And I'm sure, of course, DVD releases, Blu-rays, all kinds of like that. This movie's made plenty of money over the years. Oh, I got the coughs this morning. So, moving on to some of the awards for the film. We have 4 wins here and 2 more nominations. For the Online Film and Television Awards, it has an award for Best Re-Release, but got cut off there, so I can't read all of it. In 2017, it had the nomination for Best Re-Release or Re-Recording of an Existing Score. In 2012, we have the Rhonda Houghton Classic Horror Awards, where it won the award for Best Commentary for the release in 2012. In 2008, and for the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, it was nominated for the Best DVD Collection as part of the Godzilla collection. And then in 2007, it won a Saturn Award from the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films for Best DVD Classic Film Re-Release. And then finally, for the 2006 Rhonda Houghton Classic Horror Awards, it won the award for Best Classic DVD. Technical details of the film. This film has a runtime of just 96 minutes, or 83 minutes for the West Germany cut. Sound mix is mono from the Western Electric Microphone Recording Company, and the mono or the RCA sound system and West Electric sound system. Color info. This is a black and white film. Aspect ratio. This is 2.35 by 1. Laboratory was the Kinuta Laboratories in Tokyo, Japan. And we have a film length of 2,663 meters. That's technical details of the film. Now moving on to the part that I dread the most, the cast of Godzilla.
You dread the most, but the audience looks forward to the
I hope so. Hopefully me butchering names is entertaining to some degree. But first off, we have Akira Takarada playing the role of Hideto Ogata. Akira was also in the film Ibara Horror of the Deep in 1966. Then we have Momoko Kochi playing the role of Imiko Yamane. Momoko was also in the film Godzilla vs. Destroyer in 1995. And a lot of these actors also reappeared numerous times in other Godzilla films as well. Next up, we have Ahiko Hirata playing the role of Dr. Daisuke Serizawa. Akihiko was also in the film Godzilla, King of the Monsters in 1956. Takeshi Shimura was also played the role of Dr. Hihi Yamane. Takeshi was also in the film Seven Samurai in 1954.
All I could picture when you said that was Michael Jackson goes, Dr. Hee
Dr. Hihi. The worst part is, like, I'm saying the name once, and then when I say the name again, it's another pronunciation of that same name.
Man, neither one of them are right.
And neither one of them is probably right. You're right. Fuyuki Murakama playing the role of Professor Tanabe. Fuyuki was also in the film Ikuru in 1952. Sachi Sakai was playing the role of the newspaper reporter Hajiwara. Sachi was also in the film Yojimbo in 1961.
Yo, what's up?
Yojimbo. Yojimbo.
Yo, Kyle.
Yeah. Next up, we have Toransuke Ogawa playing the role of Nanki Ferry President, the Nanke Ferry President. Toransuke Ogawa was also in the film Seven Samurai in 1954.
That's a great movie.
Seven Samurai is fantastic. Nice. Whoosha. That was me slang paper around. Chusha, like my
I thought that was another actor.
Another actor there that I butchered. Yeah. Rin Yamamoto played the role of Masaji Yamada. Rin was also in the film King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1963, the original one, not the new one. Yeah, the one where he shoves the tree in the Godzilla's mouth. It's great. Next up, we have Hiroshi Hayashi playing the role of Chairman of Diet Committee. Hiroshi was also in the film Seven Samurai in 1954. Numerous of these actors actually had a role in Seven Samurai. Next up, Shijiro Onda played the role of Parliamentarian Omayama. Shijiro was also in the film Throne of Blood in 1957. What a name. Throne of Blood. I've never watched it. That sounds awesome. Soroko Mano played the role of Kuni Yamada. Soroko Mano was also in the film Seven Samurai in 1954. Takeo Okawa played the role of the Chief of Emergency Headquarters. Taki was also in the film The Hidden Fortress in 1958. Toyoka Suzuki played the role of Shinkichi Yamada. Suzuki was also in the film Godzilla, King of the Monsters in 1956. Kokuten Kodo played the role of the Old Fisherman. Kokuten Kodo was also in the film Seven Samurai in 1954. Tadashi Okabe played the role of Professor Tanabe's assistant. Tadashi Okabe was also in the film Destroy All Monsters in 1968. Next up, we have Kin Sugai playing the role of Parliamentarian Ozawa. Kin Sugai was also in the film The Funeral in 1954. Rin Imizumi played the role of the radio operator. Rin Imizumi was also in the film The Mysterians in 1957. Then we have Junpei Natsuki playing the role of Power Substation Engineer. Junpei Natsuki was also in the film Seven Samurai in 1954. Then next up we have the Godzilla suit workers here. Katsumi Tezuki was playing the role of Gojira, where he had the suit wearing, and he was also played the role of Hajiwara's editor in the film. Katsumi was also reappeared and once again probably wearing a Godzilla suit and doing the whole Godzilla acting in King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1963. Then we have Haru Nakajima playing the role of Gojira as well, also doing the suit role, where he plays Gojira and a power station worker in the film. Haru Nakajima also was in the film Seven Samurai 1954. And that concludes the cast of Gojira, and many more mispronunciations will occur.
Oh, yeah. Very, very much so.
Yeah.
But you know what? You fake it till you make it, Kyle.
Fake it till you make it, and the more I was going through it, the better I felt. You know?
But
I never felt good. I never felt good, mind you, but I felt better.
You pronounce those with authority wrong.
Authority, yes. Like any politician.
I mean, what can you say about Godzilla? He's been around for decades now and still making movies. I mean,
he just won his first Oscar.
He's an icon.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some of the notes. What a lot of people need to remember is when they say, "Oh, the first Godzilla." Well, a lot of people think Godzilla King of the Monsters, which was the American version of this film, which even used some of this same footage. And that stars Raymond Burr, I think.
That was the first version I watched too, and I was very confused by it when I was watching it. Watching the original film now makes it I've seen the original film as well before, but makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, because when I was watching, I was like, man, I don't remember this. Where's Raymond Burr's character at? So so this is definitely, if you're going to watch this, it's in subtitles. I don't know if there's a dubbed version. It wasn't on the one I watched.
I don't believe there. Yeah, I don't believe there is, and nor probably should there be. Really, I think this film works well in the language it's intended in. I don't even know if they released because Godzilla -1 is kind of basically a remake of this movie, and I don't think they even did a dub version of that either. They just went straight subtitles for that one as well, which is for the better.
All right, so here we go. Let's talk a little bit about the notes, and it's also my turn to butcher some names. So maybe I'll just do initials, like JT.
Probably save ourselves a lot of embarrassment.
Right. So the ideal for Gojira, which is the name for American name for Godzilla, was born after producer Tomoyuki Tanaka was forced to cancel a planned Japanese-Indonesian co-production called Iko Kagerini, which means Behind the Glory. The film was inspired by a real-life accident in which a Japanese fishing boat named the Lucky Dragon No. 5 ventured too close to the United States Castle Bravo hydrogen bomb test conducted on Bikini Atoll, one of the Marshall Islands in the South Pacific, on March 1st, 1954, and its crew and catch were both contaminated as a result of this.
Oh, dude, that's absolutely awful. Yeah.
It's terrible. Mm-hmm. So, special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya originally wanted Godzilla to be a giant octopus. He would later get his wish to have one in King Kong vs. Godzilla and a cutscene in Frankenstein vs. Baragon. I don't know, but it sounds awesome. I'm going to have to tell Art Toast that me and him need to cover that on. I can't believe that's got to be.
It is quite a film. I've seen clips of it.
Really?
I've seen clips of it, but I've never watched the entire film together. But
is it really Frankenstein?
Giant Frankenstein, yeah.
Oh, it's Giant Frankenstein?
Yes.
That's Dad. We have to do that. And finally, in the War of the Gargantuas, where the giant octopus would make his last film appearance as of release. It was even given a name, the Udako. The giant octopus also made an appearance in an episode of the TV series Ultra Q, and was even up for consideration to be one of the Godzilla's enemies in Godzilla: The Final Wars.
Yep, and even like recently in King Kong Skull Island, King Kong fights a giant octopus as well too.
And that's where he
eats it and walks around its face.
It down.
Yeah, slurps it down.
Yeah.
Good film.
The name Gojira is a combination of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale. There has always been a legend that Godzilla was named after a hulking man named Gojira who worked at Toho, but this is untrue. Not only is there no evidence of this man ever existing, but the various stories about him kept changing throughout the years. So, Godzilla, funny. The name of Godzilla is just a legend.
Just some guy.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. Yeah. But Gorilla Whale is interesting.
Yeah. So, if they ever come out with a name called Kylezilla. We'll know it's named after you.
Exactly. Yeah. I would love that legacy.
The only way an actor could enter the suit was through the opening in the back, which was hidden by the dorsal fins and attached by rings on hooks. The inner lining would also scrape the actor's skin. Suit actor Haruo Nakajima could barely walk in the original costume, which weighed slightly over 230 pounds.
Jeez.
The second suit that was built was relatively lighter, it was still over 200 pounds. So,
couldn't imagine. Yeah, and talking about like, granted, like future films, people talking about basically like gallons of sweat coming off them while they're inside the suit too.
Kyle, I got it. For our Halloween episode live event this year, you could be Godzilla.
Just get a 200-pound suit and just wrap myself in a giant leather cocoon. I'll stay warm, that's for sure.
Because of the complexity of its production, the entire film was told in storyboards. This is believed to be the very first time that this was done for a Japanese film.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There were 3 cables coming out of the back of the Godzilla suit that was made for this film. 2 were for the operation of the eyes, and 1 was for the operation of the mouth. Kaime Izo was responsible for the movement of the eyes and the mouth. Batteries were also installed in the second Godzilla suit that were made for the film's first sequel, Godzilla Raids Again. They were also for the operation of the eyes and mouth. The batteries in the second suit was made even heavier than the one that had been made for this film, so poor guy.
You have to imagine a substantial amount of the budget went just to the production of this suit alone, let alone the miniatures they had to use and all kind of stuff.
Right. The Godzilla suit used for this film was so hot inside that suit actor Haruo Nakajima would frequently faint. According to Nakajima, temperatures inside the suit reached up to 60 degrees Celsius or 140 degrees Fahrenheit due to the hot studio lights, and it was not uncommon for 1 cup of Nakajima's sweat to be drained from the suit.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, imagine smelling that thing.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting.
Special effects director Nakano, who worked with Nakajima in the later Godzilla films, described his admiration for the actor, stating, "Inside the Godzilla suit, it was very dark, lonely, and isolated. Usually the person who wears the suit becomes nervous and anxious. During summertime, it's very hot. It became really hot in there, but Mr. Nakajima always persevered. He acted in the suit underwater. He was buried underground. He withstood pyrotechnic explosions, and through it all, he was always Godzilla."
Gotta admire that insane commitment to the role for sure. I mean, yeah, suit actors just don't get the credit they deserve, truly.
It kind of makes me think of the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, similar stories like that, where it's like absolutely miserable experience being in those suits, but yeah, they persevered and went through it. And
became the legends they are.
Yeah.
Toho's sound department tried numerous animal roars for Godzilla, but felt that they were unsuitable for an animal of such immense size. The film's music director, Akira Ifukube, came up with Godzilla's roar by rubbing a coarse resin-coated leather glove up and down the strings of a double bass and reverberating the recorded sound. Also, Godzilla's thunderous footsteps were made by beating a kettle drum with a knotted rope.
Yeah, absolutely incredible sound design on that part too. They really Godzilla has such a distinctive sound that's not entirely animal based, and that's what makes it kind of so interesting to me. The fact that he's almost alien in his own unique way that I really appreciate through the years, generations.
Producer Tomoyuki Tanaka got the idea for this film while returning from Indonesia. He was looking down at the water and began imagining what was really below the surface, which is kind of scary because only 3% of the ocean has been
mapped out, really, and to a significant degree. I mean, nowadays we have a little bit, there's more sustainable research being done, so we kind of know what's in there, but at the same time, we don't.
I'd like to think that deep down in the Mariana Trench, in the deepest part of the ocean, there's a Jimbo and Kyle doing a podcast underwater for the.
Can you imagine, doing a podcast about a human monster that does.
Oh, we've only explored
evil
1% of the land up there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. The films received a nomination for Best Picture from Japanese Film Association, but lost to Seven Samurai. However, special effects director Tsubuyaraya would win his first technical award for his visual effects work. Awesome. A misconception is that this film received a nomination from the Japan Academy Awards, which is impossible. The organization did not exist until 1978, 24 years after the film's release. So I guess
a little bit of a time discrepancy there.
There is a director cameo, Honda. He was the man in the electric room who throws the switch, thus activating the 300,000 volt power lines in order to kill Godzilla by electrocuting him. I like how they came up with that too. Well, yeah, let's just build giant vents around the city and we'll just throw the switch.
Throw the switch, we'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong?
There's also another cameo by Haruo Nakajima, obviously the guy inside the Godzilla suit at points. Man inside the electric room just before director Honda throws the switch. He also appears as one of the Hagawaro's fellow reporters in the newspaper office.
Yep, the assistant.
Mm-hmm. One of the most famous legends regarding the production of this film had director Honda, special effects director Tsubuyara, on the deck of one of the Tokyo buildings. They were planning Godzilla's path of destruction. When visitors on the deck overheard their conversation, became concerned. The pair was stopped by the authorities and questioned. That's the one I'm like, how dedicated was that TV reporter when he's up there? He's like, oh, there's Godzilla destroyed. oh, Godzilla's looking this way. He's coming. This could be the end. and he still
perseveres through it all.
Yeah, he
Absolutely
stays there. Godzilla comes over and just bites the tower, and it goes falling over. I was like, man, they're all like, bring back away. He's like, no, I got to get the shot.
At some point, you got to run away. But like, no, he was like committed to the pits. Like, absolutely, he's eating me right now. I feel my bones being crushed. It's very painful.
I wish they would have done that when they were doing that. Had like the video camera on Godzilla and have him coming towards him, just with a big mouth.
Like yeah.
The troops going to the coast to face Godzilla were actual Japanese self-defense force troops. They were on maneuvers when Honda shot the footage of them. So I don't know if he got permission, or he just said, "Oh, look at these guys. We're gonna
what a happenstance we can get this done right here."
Right. Cinematographer Masao Tamai had considered influence on the film's look since he was one of Toho's top cinematographers, known at the time as work for Miko Naruse. Tamai only accepted the job on the following conditions: that the rest of his crew was hired along with him, and he was given authority on the film's final look. For Godzilla's first appearance, Kyle, they're originally supposed to have a bloody cow in his mouth. After reviewing the test shots, Tamai felt it was far too graphic and had director Honda cut the scene. Special effects director Tsuburaya agreed, and he also felt the scene did not look good. So we almost had Godzilla eating a Whopper.
Whopper, basically. Yeah, eating his own
talk about fast food.
Yeah.
The building whose clock tower Godzilla tears off in the film is the Waco department store. It was completed in 1932 in the Ginza district and still stands as of release. The clock tower is still intact. In 2004, Kyle, on his 50th anniversary, Godzilla was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's fantastic. Yeah. FC legend. I got to get a picture of that someday. Go to California.
Get we just need to go do the Walk of Fame and just take pictures
of a bunch of people. Yeah, but I would love to take a picture of Godzilla. I think it'd be great.
An often repeated myth is that the production of both this film and The Seven Samurai nearly drove Toho into bankruptcy. This neglects to mention a third Toho film made that year, Samurai 1, Musashi Miyamoto. All three of them were the most expensive Japanese films made up to that point and big financial risk for Toho. However, there is little evidence to suggest that Toho was even at risk for bankruptcy. Toho released a total of 68 feature films that year. Just that year. The most successful, which were Seven Samurai, Samurai 1, and Godzilla in that order.
That's more films per week. Releasing 2 films a week some weeks. That's insane.
That's crazy.
Hollywood doesn't do that nowadays.
No. TV shows don't even do that these days. But they want to blame it on these 3 movies when they said those were the highest grossing movies, and there was, 65 worse movies?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. I think they're doing just fine.
Yeah. Originally, there was a flashback scene in the film showing Emiko and Serizawa as teenagers that was to explain the relationship. However, the scene was cut because it was felt that it slowed the film down. So do you think they were... was ever implied that they were
involved?
An item?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it implied they were an item to some degree.
Yeah. Stop motion animation was rejected for this film because of the amount of time it would have taken. I would have loved to see Ray Harryhausen get a hold of this and see what he could have done. It would have been amazing. Sure. But special effects director Tsuburaya sincerely wanted to use this method, but he faced the grim reality that there was not enough people in Japan with enough experience in this technique, and that Toho would never give him the time he needed due to the tight production schedules.
Yeah, we got to release 63 movies this year.
Tsuburaya had to pioneer the techniques of suitmation. I never thought that was a word, but I guess it is. That's what they call it.
All words are made up, right?
Which would make the production more feasible, though no less difficult. One benefit of this method was in depicting Godzilla's enormous size, since if a stop-motion puppet had been used, it required miniatures as a much smaller scale, resulting in less detail and destruction. The film makes use of stop-motion animation to enhance a few brief scenes in which a vehicle crashes and Godzilla's tail twitches.
Yeah, there were some great effects there, too. Yeah, particularly the car crashes where you see the soldiers cut, where they jerk their wheel, and all of a sudden you just see an empty car flipping around. Like an RC cart.
I like the one where Godzilla's up there and he's like burning half the city, and that helicopter just like falls on its side or whatever. I'm like,
it reminded me of that scene. Like, remember Tommy Boy of Chris Farley when he's making up that fake police crash? It reminded me of that. I was like, oh my god, they're burning! Everyone's dying! That reminded me of that scene because it looks so fake now. I'm sure it's
well. There was the one scene where They were in. I think it's before they descend into they're like, this is no drill, we got to go down or whatever. And if you look out the window, you see Godzilla's thing, and you see his tail with the string. You can see the string on his tail. I was like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Love it. The film's opening scene was inspired by the real-life Dragon 5 accident, Lucky Dragon 5 incident, which we were talked about, where the crew and catch of a Japanese fishing boat of that name was contaminated by radioactive fallout from the United States Castle Bravo hydrogen bomb test of the detonation of the first such bomb. This event generated much controversy in Japan, especially after the death of the ship's radio man, Kuboyama Akichi. It also served as a major influence on the film, with its original script making the connection even more explicit by opening on a scene in which a contaminated boat ominously arrives on shore with their entire crew missing.
Yeah. And more broadly, that's kind of like Godzilla has kind of always been about the unhealthy relationship we have with nuclear energy and nuclear power as both a weapon and as a source of energy. This film specifically kind of paints Godzilla as a definitively bad and destructive force of nature that can destroy everything around it. But in the future, as it goes, Godzilla can be recast as a good guy too. That we have to rely on nuclear energy to some degree, but at the same time has an overwhelming destructive power that we need to respect.
You know what? You know what people don't talk about anymore, Kyle? Do you remember the Fukushima reactor that had a meltdown and was leaking radioactive stuff in the ocean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever stopped. I think it was so hot that they couldn't stop the thing, and it's still leaking.
Yes and no. There were recently talks about distributing a few I want to say 2,000 tons of water that had been contaminated into the ocean, which wouldn't actually make a significant difference in the grand scheme of the ocean. But
this was in the ocean. Fukushima was in the ocean.
Fukushima was actually doing that whole tsunami back in 2012 or whatever it was. Yeah. Efforts are still ongoing with that. I know that much. I wouldn't necessarily say it's still leaking, but I know there's still efforts going on about the decontamination of that whole facility and all kind of stuff going on. So, yeah, I'd have to look up more about that for sure. But, yeah.
Kyle said if it makes his fish nuggets any bigger, he's all right with it.
Exactly. And I'm not talking about fish.
Director George Lucas cites this film's miniatures as an inspiration for special effects in the Star Wars film series. During filming in September 1954, rain contaminated by a Soviet nuclear test began falling in northern Japan, contaminating vegetables and well water. This incident may have inspired the scene in the film where Professor Tanabe warned the Oto Island villagers not to drink the water from the well.
Yeah. So yeah,
Poor Japan's getting it from both sides here.
Yeah. I mean, they're at the crossroads of major nuclear powers.
Yep.
And it's no wonder they made a monster to kind of represent all those kind of things.
One of the original designs for Godzilla had a head shaped like a mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
It looks like playing Mario and running around with a Godzilla.
Would have been a little outrageous. Yeah.
Every Godzilla suit that has ever been made has been given a nickname by Japanese fans, which is subsequently adopted by U.S. fans. The nickname for the Godzilla suit used in this film is Shodai Goji. It is a combination of Gojira and Shodai, the Japanese word for first generation.
First generation, so yeah. Godzilla Gen 1.
Some of the proposed designs for the Godzilla suit used in the film were similar, save for the texture of the monster's skin. One design skin was very warty, while another was more like that of an alligator. The final design, which gave Godzilla his family rock-like skin, was meant to suggest that the nuclear bomb blast which awakened him had also burned him, specifically the keloid scars that the Hibashuka had received as a result of the atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of I took it as the aesthetic of the charred skin of a nuclear bombing, in a situation like that, being burned all the way around and yet still alive is kind of horrifying to think of, but that's the way you sell Godzilla for sure.
The scenes in the film of Godzilla underwater were filmed dry for wet, with an aquarium complete with fish placed between the camera and the suit actor. This was combined with actual underwater footage of divers with additional dry for wet scenes of Ogata and Serizawa. Director Honda had experience in underwater filming, his feature full-length film debut being about the lives of Ama pearl divers, which was also the first Japanese film to use underwater filming techniques.
Yeah. Really impressive stuff to work to, especially for early engineering, early pioneering work there being done. So incredible work there.
Akira Takarada was originally cast as Serizawa, and Hiko Hirata was originally cast as Ogata. It was reportedly director Honda who felt that Hirata was more suited for the darker, tragic hero Serizawa. Therefore, Honda had the two actors switch roles.
Huh. I guess he had a more gloomy face. It's all in that eye patch, really.
I was going to say, it's an eye patch.
Yeah, the eye patch holds all the power.
During Godzilla's rampage through downtown Tokyo, one of the buildings he destroys is the old Nikajiki theater after his tail smashes into it. This is said to have frightened several viewers who tried to run out of the theater. I
always heard this bit of like an urban legend, like same thing like when they filmed like trains oncoming in old West films. And you're like, oh no, the train's coming here. Like, no, they knew it was a fake film. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
The film's scenes of destruction and human panic effectively replicate the appearance and feel of real-life newsreel scenes of wartime devastation. This sort of footage would have been painfully familiar to audiences in the 1950s and 60s, which added a resonance and verisimilitude that modern viewers will unfortunately not experience in 2023. The best way to experience that recognition would be to watch actual newsreel films of World War II devastation in Europe and Japan before watching this film.
Yeah, just thinking we're just a decade afterwards here, so it's incredible that like we're making films at all, let alone films that are this tackling this dark of a subject matter this closely. It's really brave. Yeah.
To film audiences still remember World War II's toll on civilians and soldiers, Godzilla's movements may have seemed eerily similar to those of a burnt and traumatized soldier or civilian wandering in a confused daze rather than consciously causing devastation. This casts a tragic, sympathetic, even victimized light on Godzilla that sets him apart from the majority of the U.S. giant monster films or Japanese kaiju.
Yeah, I think that's also pretty consistent through most of the depictions of Godzilla, even some of the American depictions of that. Like, I think Godzilla suffers in his existence as a nuclear power or something like that too. It's never like he never feels totally energized or actually free for all the suffering he's bringing to the world to a degree. Like he himself exists in constant pain. I always imagined.
Kyle, do you think we'll ever see the Death of Godzilla movie?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already have Godzilla vs. Destroyer and a few other films where they depict the idea of the death of Godzilla. In terms of a new Western release, I wouldn't be surprised if the next film kind of tries to tackle that idea, and it's tough to watch.
Kyle going to be crying in the theater.
I would be. I'll be a weepy boy.
Godzilla's basic design was created by combining traits from the Tyrannosaurus for his general shape, the Iguanodon, his arms and stance, and Stegosaurus, the dorsal plates. The staff at Toho used old magazine pictures of these three dinosaurs for reference. So that's pretty cool. They tried to just mush something together.
Yeah, and the way, and still making it something that a human can fit into the suit of, too, gives them a degree of, personhood that we can identify with as well, too, which I think is really cool.
Stop-motion animator Ray Harryhausen harbored a deep resentment for Godzilla for most of his life because he was inspired by the film The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, for which Harryhausen had animated the Rhedosaurus. He was seemingly unaware of the fact that the filmmakers at Toho always acknowledged their influences for this film.
So, that's incredibly sad.
Yeah.
Bitterness, and that's leading to rule your life.
This film had spawned 37 sequels as of the release, and the series spawned from it holds the record for the longest-running continuous monster film series made by one studio and starring one monster in the world.
That is true. Yeah, technically there's still a degree which you can say this is all one continuity. Well, the MonsterVerse is no separate thing. That's also an American company making Godzilla, and of course the Bruckheimer films. Bruckheimer, the other actor, I forget his name. But still Toho and Shoho. Still technically it's all one continuity, which is insane to me, but still incredible.
When Ogata has to cancel his date with Emiko, the flyer reveals that they had planned to attend a show by the Budapest String Quartet. This was an actual event, as the quartet really did perform in Japan in 1954. So,
oh, cool.
The delivery mechanism for the oxygen destroyer in the film bears a very striking resemblance to the inner workings of the implosion design of the atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. The film's release was such a success that it's been estimated that 11% of the entire Japanese population went to see it during its first run. To this day, it remains the 22nd most attended film in the history of the Japanese box office and the second most attended film in the film series overall.
Oh, that is incredible. Long legacy of records right there. I mean, I'm sure it will progressively still go lower and lower as time goes on, but that is incredible. That's stood up this far into, now more than 70 years of production.
Yep. Director Martin Scorsese is a fan of this film and has expressed admiration for other Toho science fiction and giant monster films directed by Honda. Scorsese met Honda while working on the set of the film Dreams and told him how much he enjoyed his films in his youth. He would later contribute to Honda's biography by writing the foreword to it, describing Honda's films as pictures that haunted the imaginations of young moviegoers like myself.
Oh, that's really compliment. It's a incredible compliment from Scorsese.
Yep. While it was always assumed to be made of rubber, the original Godzilla suit was, according to the suit actor Nakajima, made from a ready mixed concrete mixture due to the limited supply of latex material in post-war Japan.
Explains the weight right there for sure.
And
How heavy that is.
Jeez.
Yeah, basically a concrete suit.
The original suit was nearly impossible to use, resulting in the second suit being made using a liquid plastic polymer. The second suit was the one used for filming the majority of the scenes, while the first suit being cut in half so its legs could be used in close-up.
Jeez. Still rough. I couldn't imagine. Couldn't imagine.
The miniatures in this film and subsequent others in the franchise were made with wood, cement, plaster, and glass. The filmmakers had asked to use the blueprints for various buildings but were rejected. The staff instead had to reverse engineer their own blueprints. Over 500 miniature buildings were built, precisely recreating Tokyo at 1/25th scale. Buildings that were to be destroyed were strategically weakened to collapse. All the miniature vehicles were custom built out of cast iron and manipulated with piano wires to move them along. All of this was built on raised sets so cameras could be placed at lower angles.
Absolutely.
When working among the miniatures, suit actor Nakajima recalled that he always felt anxious since a single miniature was worth more than his entire salary.
Jeez.
When it came time for shooting, the staff would often spend all day preparing for the miniature sets, only to end up with a few seconds of usable footage.
Oh my gosh.
How would you like that? Oh, don't trip over this house. It's worth more than your entire salary.
Is absolutely boggles the mind this film ever got made when the pressure's on that high. And it's
you'll see here in a minute.
For,
I think it's in the notes here in a couple pages where they would destroy the whole thing and it wouldn't be good, so they had to rebuild the whole entire thing.
Oh my gosh.
The film's U.S. version, Godzilla King of the Monsters, was cited as an inspiration by Steven Spielberg in the book The Making of Jurassic Park by Don Shea. Spielberg described how Godzilla, of course, was the most masterful of all the dinosaur movies because it made you believe it was really happening. He would also draw connections to how this film used its monster as a thematic metaphor.
Yeah. Then later, Godzilla -1 is still incredibly inspired by Jaws and Jurassic Park as well. So.
Right. Director Hideko Anno has said that this is his favorite monster film and his favorite tokusatsu special effects work. Anno would later dedicate a museum to the art of Takasutsu and eventually direct his own Godzilla film, Shin Godzilla.
Awesome.
I went down that rabbit hole last night. What a waste of 2 hours of my life.
It's one of the best movies ever made.
You're ridiculous. Suit actor Hiro Nakajima would frequently make visits to the zoo to study the movements of large animals to enhance his performance in the film. Nakajima also watched special effects director Tsubario's Yaya's personal print of the film King Kong for inspiration. When Nakajima accepted the role of Godzilla, he assumed the suit would be similar in nature to the samurai armor used in Toho's period films. He could not have imagined in a million years how difficult the role would actually be.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
talking about biting off more than you can chew by accident.
There were two main suit actors that are credited for Godzilla's performance, Tezuka and Nakajima. According to Nakajima, Tezuka was not able to handle the rigors of the suit, so the majority of the scenes in the film are his. Nakajima often criticized Tezuka as his assistant, and several behind-the-scenes photos from later films seem to support this. Tezuka would never respond to these claims, as he disappeared after the 1960s, his exact whereabouts unknown as of release.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So,
I wonder where he went.
Nebraska.
Godzilla got him.
Godzilla got him.
The scenes of Godzilla's rampage were filmed on a raised set so the camera could be placed at a lower angle. The staff had designated the floor out of wood and plaster, designed the floor out of wood and plaster. The idea was that Godzilla's enormous weight would cause his feet to sink into the concrete and create footprints. This would, however, prove to be a liability, as the suit actors would often trip and fall into the miniatures, ruining scenes in the process.
Oh my gosh.
The staff would frequently have to reconstruct and repair the miniatures until this idea was abandoned.
Yeah, I think with the actors fainting and stuff like that too, he couldn't possibly do that right. Yeah. So, challenging film to make, I'm sure. Like, the idea that any film gets made, it's mind-boggling sometimes.
Of course, one of my favorite directors, John Carpenter, is a fan of this film, and he said, I first saw Godzilla in 1956 at the tender age of 8. Something about this film filled me with a somber dread, not the monster destroying Tokyo, but the overall tone. An underlying sadness, a sense of grief and horror. Japan is the only nation to suffer atomic bombs dropped on 2 of its cities, and Godzilla gave powerful expression to this emotional ambiance disguised as a giant monster movie.
Yeah.
Now, this is something I talked to Kyle with before we came on the air, and I do not remember seeing this in the movie. But it says the topless women seen on the Odo Island in the film are elder Ama pearl divers. This is a Japanese tradition in which women free dive in search of pearls. I don't remember seeing any topless women in this movie. I'm not saying they're not there. I feel like
I would have remembered that. Yeah, but
Kyle,
sure.
Kyle's like, yeah, I would have known that.
I would have remembered that. I feel like I would have remembered that. But
yeah, but I mean, I not unless I looked away and it was just a quick thing for a second or something that maybe I was reading. I was probably reading the subtitles and didn't pay attention to the thing.
Yeah.
That totally could have happened.
That's what I had to figure too, or something about the film quality itself. I didn't realize they were actually nude, or topless. But it is what it is.
Kyle will do some investigative reporting and get back with us.
Come back with a yay or nay.
Yeah, the film cost roughly $900,000 to produce in 1954. In today's money, that would be roughly $9 million. During the press conference in which scientists announced the existence of Godzilla to the public, they bring up the Yeti, which I thought was funny, the abominable snowman of the Himalayas, as a precedent for the existence of giant monsters. Director Hondu's next kaiju film for Toho was, in fact, a Yeti film, Half Human, which was later released in the U.S. in a truncated and heavily re-edited version titled Half Human in 1958. Which, I better not.
Yeah,
we won't go there.
I always think it's funny when I see films like more than 50 years old or somewhere around there, kind of time period wise, where they have like the most ridiculous excuse for why this new fantastical creature can exist in the world. It's like, a deep fish and whatever, hollow earth, all that kind of nonsense and like that, and we just treat it as like, oh man, it's so ridiculous to try to make these excuses now. I wonder if 50 years from now, the movies that come out today that have those really well thought out excuses for The Quiet Place and like that too. Here's how this creature could be biologically accurate and all that kind of stuff. And 50 years we'll all be laughing at that stuff too for being absolutely absurd. And the new films will be like, here's the entire creature's genome, so now it can technically exist. Okay, now shush. Just nonsense like that.
Oh, by the way, we don't have actors. This is the actual monster.
We made the actual monster for this film. The film Don't Make the Monster or We All Die.
Godzilla's size is inconsistent, changing from film to film and even from scene to scene for the sake of artistic license. There's a whole bunch of stuff here about that. I'm not going to dive into that, but he does change size, which is something that always baffles me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really hard to keep that consistent, and I feel like even the new films kind of struggle with that as well. Where even Godzilla fitting in the Coliseum, I was like, he could defend the Coliseum because he's the biggest Godzilla around now. I don't even know if he can fit in the Coliseum, but stuff like that.
He curls up, Kyle.
But he curls up like a cat, so it's fine. Yeah, he could fit anywhere. He could fit in the dumpster, it'd be fine. But I feel like keeping size consistency with kaiju monsters has always got to be a substantial challenge, and they've been hit or miss about it, actually. I feel like they've gotten a lot better in the past, 70 years.
Common myth about this film's origins claims that director Hondo walked across the ruins of Hiroshima on his return from military service, amazed at the death and destruction caused by an invisible force. This allegedly inspired him to make nuclear power visible as a giant monster. This story was told in numerous articles and books for decades and was even mentioned in the TV series DC Legends of Tomorrow in the episode Tagumu Attacks.
Yeah, so not exactly the true story, but you can still clearly see the inspiration from it everywhere in that film.
Right.
Yeah.
Although most commentary in this film mentions a recent hydrogen bomb test in the South Pacific and vaguely links these tests as being the origin of Godzilla's atomic breath, the real horror for any Japanese citizen born in the early 1940s or earlier would have been the scenes of Tokyo in flames, which is very much how Tokyo looked during the 1944 incendiary bombings organized by General Curtis LeMay. The resulting fires destroyed over half of Tokyo and killed at least 100,000 people. In fact, these fire bombings killed more people than the atomic bombs at either Hiroshima or Nagasaki.
Jeez. Absolutely brutal. That's just awful.
What do you say to that?
What do you say? It's just absolutely awful. I don't mean to even imply complicity with that. That just sounds awful and absolutely reprehensible actions.
Toho executives declined to comment on financials, but Licensing industry experts estimate the total value of the franchise at $4.5 to $5 billion based on the combined box office of the films from U.S. and Japanese studios, plus over $2 billion in sales of toys and tie-ins to Legendary's MonsterVerse franchise. That makes it more valuable than Ghostbusters, Care Bears, Planet of the Apes, Friends, Terminator, Indiana Jones, G.I. Joe, and Minecraft, said Jeff Gomez of Starlight Runner Entertainment, a lifetime Godzilla fan who has worked with similar franchises.
Yeah, I think even Star Wars sold for like $4 billion, so it's like, it's in there in the same realm of Star Wars, kind of like licensing deals and stuff like that too. So absolutely incredible. Not probably in the even now, like they're probably hitting such a stride right now with the most recent release of Godzilla and Kong that they're getting into Marvel territory of MonsterVerse territory for Marvel releases. So absolutely incredible for them. So wishing the best of that. I love it.
Most of the electrical towers in the film are made of steel. This is probably one of my favorite parts of this movie is when he melts the towers and they just melt. Yeah. But they were melted by Godzilla's atomic breath, were actually made of wax. The special effects crew melted them by blowing hot air on them, and as well as shining hot studio lights on them for the white hot effect. So pretty cool.
Absolutely. It looked great.
There was another ending considered for the film, a scene with Emiko and Ogata, presumably after they had gotten married, flying over Tokyo Bay in a helicopter and throwing a floral wreath into the water below in memory of Serizawa. However, this ending was scrapped because director Honda felt that they had already paid tribute to Serizawa after he had sacrificed himself in order to both destroy Godzilla and keep his invention, the oxygen destroyer, from falling into the wrong hands. So, Kyle... hit me with your Godzilla review, brother.
God, I regard this as a seminal classic in many respects too, and I feel like it's kind of a if only for its age. I don't want to necessarily give it a full 10, but I think it's an easy 9 for me. And I think if you want to say its legacy makes it a 10, I think you have a fair argument on that point too. So for me, it's a strong 9, almost a 10, where I feel like this is a classic film, truly in every respect, and deserves that kind of respect going forward for the rest of the time, because it just established so much of the cinema landscape we know today, and it is an absolute fun watch even today. It is a deep film in many respects too, and really makes you think about a lot of the things going on, both at the time and to a degree to the world today. So Godzilla is an incredible film that I really, really, really appreciate to a high degree, and I appreciate it even more broadly as a huge franchise that has spanned more than 30 movies up to this time now, and more movies to come. Godzilla will never not be relevant in my life, truly. So I really do love and adore it on that whole level. A big degree of my life has been defined by me enjoying Godzilla and thinking about Godzilla as both an artistic and as both an entertaining kind of a property. So overall, like strong 9 for me. Really love this film. Really love the entire franchise, and really can't wait for more. And always am thinking about it and considering it. So that's kind of where I stand with both this film and largely Godzilla as a general idea. Jimbo, how do you feel about it?
Kyle, I'm older than you, obviously, but we used to have a horror host on Saturday nights called Sammy Terry, and sometimes he would show these Godzilla movies, and it was either late Friday night or Saturday night. I'd stay up and get to watch them. To me, I think without this movie, you wouldn't have all the legacy of Godzilla that's out there today. You wouldn't have the other 38 movies or whatever it is, continuation. We wouldn't be able to go see the new Godzilla vs. Kong movie that I'm taking my dad for his birthday to in a couple days. I think, for me, it's got to be a 10, just for the fact of everything else that came after it, for one. But number 2, to see what they did with those miniatures and the props and the suit itself, it's back for that time, there was not much else like that around, if anything. Now, can they do stuff better today with CGI and the stuff? Of course, they could probably do it quicker, not necessarily cheaper. But I think I was a big fan of Ray Harryhausen, Clash of the Titans and all that stuff. I would have loved to see what he could have done with Godzilla. I think it would have been just as good, if not more epic. But I will say, watching Godzilla again, especially the Japanese one where you had to read the subtitles, you get a sense of, I don't want to say dread, a sense of
the emotion of the characters. Yeah.
Well, not just that, but World War II had just happened, and I like history. And when you see a movie like this, and especially coming out only like 9 years after the bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, it just gets you in your feels. Like if you remember when Godzilla's going through the city or whatever, and there's that part where he just turns and he just atomic melts them people right there on the street, and you're thinking to yourself, that's basically what we did when we dropped the bomb over there. I mean, nothing. It was just gone.
I think in so many American depictions of World War II, there's a more focus on the heroism of the soldiers, of what they sacrificed to accomplish in that era too. Where I feel like when you focus on Japan and any other kind of foreign films that focus on World War II, the focus then becomes about the overwhelming loss and profound cost of war that affected them in that situation too. And I think that's a perspective that's worth having truly, and I think Godzilla really captures that as well, especially in this film and some of the other films as well. That the sense of just the enormous sorrow that kind of comes with these kind of events taking over your life, kind of like this, where without your choice, really, just everything's been taken away from you.
Right. So I think I love the story, of course, Godzilla, but I think there was even the undertone of Serizawa, who came up with this. Oxygen dehydrator. Basically, if he throws this into the ocean, all the wildlife there is going to be basically reduced
destroyed,
to nothing. Yeah, so there won't be no fish or anything. So, I like the subtle underlying plot of that, where he's fighting because he's basically a mad scientist, is what you come to find out.
Yeah,
but he's like, I don't. But he has the goal that he's like, look, you got to keep this a secret because it's weighing on him. He's like, I made this weapon. I don't want to use it, and if I do use it, then I will only use it one time because I don't want it to be used again in the future against my will. Which I think goes at the end where you see where he cuts when he's underwater and he takes his knife out and he cuts his air supply. Basically, he burned all of his blueprints of the weapon, and then he knows the only way for him not to be able to do this again is if he dies, because
if not, someone else will interrogate it, bring it out of him some way or another.
Right.
They will find a way to make that Doom's device.
So
again.
I like that it's a Godzilla movie, but I also like the human emotional connections that Serizawa and Miku and them all had together. I thought that was really well done. So for me, a 10 out of 10, just for everything that it made me feel watching it. And if you've never seen this movie, you probably need to watch it twice. Once, just watch it. Second time, read the subtitles, because it's definitely up there, especially to see everything they went through and to appreciate what we have now in Godzilla films.
I was just of most foreign language movies too. You kind of got to watch it twice to really appreciate it, because it takes that much more to overcome the language barrier and actually get the feeling of the film and the message of the film. I feel like I agree with that. Most foreign language films. I just add to it. I'm sorry.
And for those of you that are saying, "Where's Young Guns?" because we did say that was the next one. We were gonna, well, let's just say,
what happened, Jimbo?
I don't know. I think Kyle dropped the chicken nugget on my delete button because I went to go edit it and put it out, and it wasn't there. And I was like, man, I said, if people only knew the 5th anniversary episode we did with Predator, how long it took us to re-record that, because I deleted that. Man, it's been, 18 months ago we were going to put it out.
We're still kicking ourselves about that.
And I was like, I felt so bad. I mean, so bad. So
but things happen. We'll be okay. And eventually we'll get a re-recording of Young Guns done, and we'll post that one and be good and be better than ever.
Yeah. So from here on out, I'm not saying what we're doing next week because I don't.
Well, I think we can. I think we'll be safe.
Okay.
What's the odds of something bad happening a third time?
So Kyle basically picked this movie. So next week we're doing something I picked out. And it is the first time we've done a mini-series on the podcast that I remember. I chose the great classic from Stephen King, Salem's Lot.
That's right.
Kyle, had you ever watched that before this?
No, I have never watched it before, and I wasn't aware it was a miniseries when I watched it. I just thought it was like an aggressively long movie.
Thought it was the Lord of the Rings.
Exactly.
Extended.
Why is this like 300 minutes? I'm going to die of old age.
We'll find out if Kyle did die of old age next week when we talk about Salem's Lot. So if you'd like to reach out to us, we are thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com. You follow us on Facebook. Come join us. We have a lot of fun. And yeah, we're over 5 years chugging right along to 6 years. So once again, Kyle, thanks for coming along and joining the podcast.
Always been a pleasure, Jimbo.
Yep. With that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap.
And cut. Got atomic breath this morning.